You might not be your cat's favorite, here is how they show it. You walk into the room, and your cat leaves. No noise, no reaction, just gone. At first it feels random, maybe even a coincidence. But after a while you start to notice the pattern. They don't sit near you. They don't come when you call. They don't choose you. And whether you admit it or not, it starts to feel personal. But what if it is? What if your cat isn't rejecting you, but revealing something you were never taught to see? Because cats don't show favoritism the way we expect. They don't announce it. They don't make it obvious. They show it quietly, through behavior, through distance, through choice. And once you understand those signals, you start to see something very different. The first sign is distance. Not aggression, not fear, just absence. When a cat prefers someone, they don't avoid them. They stay close, they linger, they position themselves nearby without being asked. So when your cat consistently leaves the room when you enter, or chooses the farthest possible spot away from you, that's not random behavior. That's intentional space. Cats don't waste energy avoiding things that don't matter. If they're creating distance from you, it means something about your presence feels unpredictable or unnecessary. The second sign is the lack of touch. Cats communicate trust through physical contact. A headbutt, a slow rub against your leg, curling up beside you without hesitation. These aren't small gestures. They're choices. So when those moments never happen, or only happen with someone else, that absence tells a story. And it gets clearer when you try to initiate it. You reach out. They walk away. You try again. They tense up or reject it entirely. At that point, it's no longer subtle. Your cat isn't just indifferent. They're setting a boundary. And whether you respect that boundary determines what happens next. Then there's something most people misunderstand completely. Feeding. You'd expect the person who feeds the cat to be the favorite. But that's not always how it works. Because feeding builds association, not trust. If your cat eats from you and then immediately seeks out someone else for comfort or attention, you've just been assigned a role. Provider, not connection. And cats make that distinction very clearly. The difference shows up in how they engage after the reward is gone. Another signal is something almost invisible unless you know what to look for. Eye contact. When a cat slowly blinks at someone, that's not random. That's trust. It's one of the most vulnerable signals they can give. So if your cat gives that slow blink to someone else, but never to you, that's not a coincidence. That's preference. And if you try it yourself and they don't return it, you're seeing exactly where you stand. Play reveals it even more clearly. Cats don't play with people they don't trust. Play requires focus, energy, vulnerability. It taps into their hunting instincts. So if your cat ignores toys when you're the one holding them, but becomes engaged the moment someone else picks them up, that's not about the toy. That's about you. Because in that moment, they're deciding who feels safe enough to enter that state with. Then there's sound, or the lack of it. Cats don't just meow randomly. They develop specific vocal patterns for people they're bonded to. They greet them, respond to them, engage with them. So when your cat is silent around you, but vocal with someone else, they're not just being quiet. They're withholding connection. Sleep tells the same story. Cats are at their most vulnerable when they rest. So they choose their sleeping spots carefully. If your cat never sleeps near you, never chooses your space, but consistently rests near someone else. You're not their safe place. And for a cat, safety is everything. Even grooming reveals it. Cats groom the ones they trust. It's how they bond, how they mark someone as part of their circle. So when your cat never grooms you, but grooms others, you're not part of that circle. At least not yet. And then there's the most overlooked signal of all. Joy. If your cat consistently chooses someone else, sits with them, follows them, responds to them, it's not because that person is doing something dramatic. It's usually the opposite. They're calmer, quieter, less demanding. They don't force interaction. They allow it. And that changes everything. Because cats don't bond through control. They bond through safety. And safety is built through consistency, respect, and space. The good news is this isn't permanent. Cats don't assign favorites randomly. They assign them based on experience, which means those preferences can change. But only if your behavior changes first. You stop forcing interaction. You let them approach. You respect their signals. You become predictable, calm, non-threatening. And over time, something shifts. They hesitate less, stay a little longer, come a little closer, not because you made them, but because they chose to. And that's the difference. Because when a cat chooses you, that's not obligation. That's trust. And trust is something you earn.